Welcome back to the Pretend Pros. We are your hosts. I am Beth Painter. I keep changing my title with each one. I don't know what this episode qualified as, so I'll just go Beth Painter. No title.
And I'm your host, Jenny Hoffman. I do refer to myself as the rookie, but for this episode, since we're changing it up, I'm going to call myself the entertainer because I feel
There
like
you
I have
go.
some very random stories to contribute, not always in the sports world, just random daily stuff.
Yeah, someone actually did say to me that I was the straight man in our podcast and you were the entertainer. So okay, we'll go that. Beth Painter, the
Okay.
straight man, Jenny Hoffman, the entertainer. I think that actually fits in general and fits this episode too. So what's coming up this episode?
Yeah. Let me see if I can even remember what we just talked about because it was just a hodgepodge of everything under the sun. Got a little bit of NBA playoffs, and the WNBA actually just kicked off today. So we have a little bit of that. We head into some random dog stories. Got to throw in the doggies. We'll have a special guest coming up. We're going to tape some content later on this week. So if you are a hockey fan, definitely stay tuned for that. And cycling and a little bit of a recap from our trip over to Amsterdam and Belgium last week. So without further ado, we'll just jump right into it. Enjoy this week's episode.
All righty. So we are going to talk a little NBA playoffs. So we are recording Saturday. The Cavs and the Pistons just finished their game 3. We were going to record before that when Jenny realized the timing. And so I thought, well, this is either going to go really well to do this right after the game or really badly. And I am now a little bit worried about the level of adrenaline you might be running on because that was a crazy game. So I was like, okay, we may have to manage this a little bit. Don't fall
Cavs, go
over showing
Cavs.
everybody your shirt. So I was going to ask you when we were going to record earlier, like, how you feeling about your Cavs? They're down 2-0, now 2-1. It's a little bit better.
Yes.
How you feeling as a Cleveland fan?
As a Cleveland fan, I'll tell you what, going into halftime, well, let's back up. So first quarter, it is about 3 minutes in, and Donovan Mitchell has 2 fouls. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Not at all.
Yeah.
So I got a little nervous. I had to step away for a little bit to do a few errands, and then I came back right before halftime, and we were up by, gosh, at least double digits.
Yeah.
I was feeling really good. I was like, this is great. This is great. So we come back, and once again, I'm tied up in a few other things, but I come back to it at fourth quarter, and I'm like, what the hell has happened? It's getting way too close for comfort at this point. And knowing Cleveland, I feel like we're just going to like drop the ball and it's just going to be bad news. So was not looking good. But those last 5 minutes, I was like up and down out of my seat. I had the dogs barking in my face, like, Mom, what is going on? Luckily, Doug was outside, so he did not have to hear my like frantic, like up and down and pacing. It was to the point where I needed to feed the dogs, but I was like, hey, you guys got to wait. Like, like, we have to wait till we get to a timeout. I cannot leave this TV at this point.
The dogs need to
Because
understand the priorities of the world.
Yes. Yeah, so finally a timeout came and I was able to get them situated and then went back to it. But man, it was a nail biter for sure. I was
Yeah.
quite nervous. And you know, when we did the trade, I don't know if this was towards the beginning of the year or like right after the All-Star break when we got Harden.
Mm.
I think it was earlier this year. And we traded for Harden and Darius Garland. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like Darius Garland was like beloved by the whole
Yeah.
city. And not to mention he was 26 compared to Harden, who is, I think, 36 and doesn't have a great history in the playoffs. I think maybe he's made it to 1 NBA finals, but
Ooh.
normally he ends up choking. So I was thinking to myself, you know, what are we doing getting this guy? But, you know, he was clutch for us
Yeah.
this game today. So him and Donovan Mitchell turned it on there at the end. So happy to be a Cleveland fan. Quite bummed that I couldn't actually be at the game because that energy is just a different energy compared
Yeah.
to here in Charlotte at the Hornets. Personal opinion. But I find Cleveland fans are just a little bit more engaged
Yeah.
in their sports.
Well, I think too, those specific teams. I mean, the Hornets have not been great in a really long time. I think like the last couple games this year, when they made the whatever calling that play in whatever that game was, they
Yeah,
like
that
that looked
first or
good,
second game,
right?
that overtime game was
Yeah,
fabulous. I think
yeah,
I texted you at the game and
yeah,
I was not at the game, but during that game, and I was
yeah,
like, "Wow, this is probably the most engaged I've been in a
yeah.
Hornets game in my life," and it was a really great game.
So I wonder if you assume that's the beginning of something that like maybe Hornet. I feel like Charlotte people want to be Hornets fans. They just like you got to give them a reason to be a Hornets fan. Whereas, although maybe Cleveland, it's been a little bit. I think to your point, Cleveland fans are just naturally more engaged. So yeah,
Yeah, and heck, we suck at sports. Let's be real. It's like 1 in a million. We're like your
yeah,
Indiana team in football, like
right,
so long ago, but we get close. I feel like playoffs, we do 1 or 2 rounds, even like baseball, we kind of turn it on, but we can never quite convert at the end. But I mean, when LeBron won us that championship,
yeah,
that was an amazing feeling. I remember actually, we were down here in Charlotte at the time, and we made like not a pillow fort, but basically like we brought all our sleeping gear and pillows like out because, these games are so late when they're
yeah,
playing the Western Conference Finals, and they don't start till like 9 o'clock at night on these weeknights. But we were out and just kind of sitting there watching the whole game, and I went, like, just absolutely ballistic when I realized we had actually won, I think it was game 7. I think that was the
yeah.
Golden State game 7, um, and that was a fabulous feeling.
Well, maybe you will get that again this
Um,
year.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
maybe,
we're a great team.
maybe there's a
I'll tell you
path.
what, Detroit, I'm impressed by their defense.
Hmm.
I feel like their defense is very strong. Obviously, I haven't been keeping tabs on them throughout the whole entire year, but Detroit's been a long time coming too. They haven't been good since the 80s and
Yeah,
maybe early 90s with like Rodman and
yeah.
Isaiah Thomas and whatnot. So, good for them, but I don't want to see them win the
Not this
series.
week. Yeah. Good for them in general, not this week. So there is actually an IU player on the Cavaliers. So I
I'm
am
so
cheering for
proud.
them. I got another one. Don't you worry. I got nothing but IU facts for this little podcast. He hasn't played, which is a bummer. He was on the Pacers team last year that did really well, and he actually played some minutes. And so when he got traded to Cleveland, I thought maybe but he has not played at least in the games that I've looked at. So he didn't play today. Thomas Bryant. He's one of Tom Crean's guys. So he's been in the league for a hot minute, but
Has
I
he
am
ever
cheering for
played
them.
for Cleveland, like actually played?
I'm sure he did I mean, the season's long. I'm sure there were some games where either it was a blowout either direction and, they're trying to get the younger guys. Well, he's not younger anymore. He's not a vet, but he's not young. I'm trying to think he'd probably be like in his mid 20s maybe. So, not young, not old.
That's really
Um,
sad when we can
oh,
say
I know.
mid-20s is
Yeah,
middle
old.
age.
Yes. Yes. So I'm rooting for I would root for Cleveland anyway, just because having lived there for a little bit, I know lots of people from Cleveland, but then it helps that there's an IU guy, even if he's not actually playing. So,
How do you
but
find
I
this
am,
stuff?
huh?
I said, "How do you find this stuff?"
Well, that I knew because there are not a ton of IU players still in the league anymore. But the one who is a starter, who I am rooting for, he plays for the Knicks. So OG Anunoby went to IU as well. He was actually one of my favorite players when he was at IU, and so he actually got hurt. He did not play in last night's game. He has a hamstring strain, but it's not a particularly bad one. So since they're up 3-0, I don't know if he'll play tomorrow night or not. They said he was day to day while he just need a little recovery time. But
Yeah,
he is probably the most successful IU player that's currently in the league. For a long time, Eric Gordon probably got that notoriety because he played for a long, long time. But he only played for 1 year and he at IU, and he played the year he played was the year that Calvin Sampson was the coach, and we got the NCAA violations, and the team got destroyed after that. And then Tom Crean took over. So, like, I forgot all the time that he even went to IU because it was such a weird year and it ended so nasty. But I think OG Anunoby at this point is sort of the IU claim to fame. He's making a ton of money. And my favorite thing about him, he was like this at IU too. He is all business. When things are good, you don't get anything out of him. When things are bad, like he is just so even keeled. And so he could hit the game winning shot of, to win the championship. And I swear he'd just be like, good job. Right. He's just very like, so there was a moment in the game, I guess 2 games ago, that must have been game 2 that I watched, where the ball actually got stuck like over the back of the backboard. So not like a
Yeah.
wedgie, but it went up and then got stuck at the top of it. And so trying to think who they are playing, Philly 76ers. So somebody on the 76ers team went and got the broom, the mop thingy, and was like trying to pop it out. So he tried 4 different times and the ball just kept going right back to the same spot. You could tell like he had committed the foul. So he was annoyed the foul got called. And then on top of that, he couldn't get the ball out. Right. They were I think they were in New York. So like the fans are yelling at him and you can tell he's not happy with the moment. And so Carl Anthony Towns came over and like took the mop away and just gave it like one good shove and it popped right out. And I don't know what the players said, but OG Anunoby actually laughed. And I was like, wow, it must have been really funny because you do not get anything out of him. But I just love that he's like an assassin. He's like all business, right? He's there to win and
That's
that's
kind
it.
of how what's the Denver guy when they won the championship like 2 or 3 years ago?
Oh, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm saying
the
his name right.
Joker.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the difference is he is only there because he happens to be good at basketball and it funds like all of his other hobbies. Because even when they won, he was like, "Oh, do I have to go to the parade?" I think he did afterwards say the parade was really, really cool. Because I've seen tons of interviews with people who have won championships, and they've said the parade is the best day of their lives, other than like marrying their spouse and having kids, right? But like from you take sort of those very specific moments out. But I think OG's thing is different. I think he just feels like you don't ride the rides, you don't take the roller coaster, you just stay even keeled. But so I'm hoping he'll get to play some more because they're doing well. So they're up three
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
So they could move on tomorrow if they win. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that series is going to end quickly.
Yeah.
The Knicks have been destroying pretty much everyone by quite a large amount
Yeah.
because weren't they the ones that played Atlanta and like crushed them in one of those games?
Yeah, I think
The
so.
Knicks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Where Shaquille was
Yeah.
doing the resuscitation and the
Yeah, yeah.
final rites for the Falcon.
Yeah.
The
Like their
Atlanta
mascot,
Falcons? No, that's
Freddie?
football. Hawks.
Hawks. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a bird. Yeah,
It's a
Hawks.
bird.
Yeah. I think Freddie the Falcon is the NFL. I think that's his name. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's weird to root for the Knicks because obviously I lived in Indiana for a little while and was a Pacers fan, to some degree. And that was a huge rivalry back then.
Oh yeah.
And so, to root for the Knicks is a little bit weird. But again, I'm not an NBA fan. So, as with almost all sports, I follow the IU path to something, and that leads me to the Knicks. So, here we are.
Yeah, the Knicks Pacers had some amazing games in the
Yeah.
I think it was 90s, early 2000s with Miller and John Stark and
Yeah.
well, Spike Lee, he didn't play, but he contributed on the sidelines.
Well, that's why last year they met again, and Spike
Yep.
Lee, of course, is still there, and Reggie
Yeah.
was doing the commentating, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks to the '90s. Like it was so strange seeing that rivalry back up again. So,
Yeah.
and that was the team that Thomas Bryant was on, was that Pacers team. So, yeah,
We're gonna cut this out. My dogs are going crazy.
we don't have to cut it out. All these podcasts I listen to, like the dogs are part of the atmosphere.
Ah, I
It's
have
an
large,
ongoing.
crazy dogs for those of you that are listening. Beth has met them before. They are quite a lot. A
They're
handful.
very sweet, but they're slobbery. That's my only beef with your dogs.
Yeah, they slobber a lot and have
Yeah.
lots of opinions. Very vocal.
As do my cats, who, yeah.
This is probably a TMI. We'll see if we cut this out or not. But I was on a phone call today for work, and I was just on not a video call, just a audio call. And my dog Dozer, the big one, he farted very loudly.
To where like you were like, either I admit this was me or I say it was the dog. That actually
to the
sounds like an
point where I'm
excuse.
like, okay, I'm not on video right now, so like, who knows what she's thinking? Like, we can't see each other. Do I say it or do I just let it go? I
That
just let
feels
it
like an
go.
excuse. Like, the dog ate my homework. I swear it was the dog that farted.
Okay,
On Candace
detour.
Parker and Aaliyah Boston's podcast, Aaliyah has a fairly new puppy and is not a very well behaved puppy. And it is an ongoing discussion between the two of them about how she needs to get her puppy to be better disciplined because I think his name is Ozzy. Ozzy frequently is a unintended visitor to the podcast because he's misbehaving. And so Candace is constantly telling her that she needs to get her dog under control. So,
So speaking of Aaliyah Boston, they did right before their it was probably like pre interviews before the season started. I saw a bunch kind of like last week and the week before, and one of them may have been through like BuzzFeed or something where they basically just put the player in a room and give them a bunch of puppies. Did you see that?
I've seen those before, but I haven't seen the one with
Yeah,
her.
so they did it with the Fever. It might have been through the Fever's organization, but they put Sophie Cunningham and Aaliyah Boston separately. And Aaliyah Boston was basically like, I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom and see if I can get, like, bring another dog home.
She's hilarious. She talks all the time. She just got paid, right? She I think is the
Yeah.
second
And
highest
she still has to call her
paid.
mom to see if she can
Yes.
bring home another dog.
So they make fun of her all the time. She is still on the family phone plan. And so like I've heard Sue Bird give her a hard time, Candace Parker has. They're like, you're making $1 million. Are you like are you still on your families? And she's like, no, no, my mom takes out money for the family plan, every single month. Yeah, her mom is definitely in charge for sure, based on what she has said on the podcast, which I find like that's super endearing, right? Not only that they're so tight, but that her mom is clearly holding the purse strings. So
Well, everyone needs a good manager.
they do, yeah. So
But
speaking of them,
yeah.
obviously WNBA started this weekend. So I think we both were watching a little bit of the Fever Wings game, which was a good game, at least
Yeah,
from a
it
score
started
perspective.
today specifically, right? Wasn't
Last
it
night,
today?
there was a
Or
couple
last night?
games last night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see any of those, but I did see a little bit of that and a teeny bit of the Aces game that was today as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that Fever game, I did not catch all of it. I just caught the tail end. And my first reaction to you, actually, I believe I texted this to you, was, what the hell is with the score? This is an NBA score right here,
Yeah.
107 to 104. Where does that come from on one of the first days?
Well, and I mean, they play a shorter game. It's literally less time. So I think it is, I'm trying to think if it's 8 minutes less. I forget, but it is
Oh, it's
literally
two
a
20-minute.
shorter term.
No, they do quarters.
Yeah. So I think
10-minute
they're,
quarters?
yes, and I think the NBA is 12-minute quarters. So
12.
yeah, so it's 8 minutes difference. So I mean that's impressive that they got that with 8 minutes less of game time. Um, but I think both teams play really fast. So they were getting the ball up like not very far into the shot clock. So I think that was part of it. And they went to Sophie Cunningham on the bench at one point when they like, the broadcasters talked to her. And Rebecca Lobo was saying, oh, this is such a great, paced game. It's so much fun. And she was like, fun for you. Holy mackerel. She's like, we are just getting back into basketball shape. Need to catch her breath a little. So you could tell like she was a little bit winded and there was one point because it was such a fast paced game and they weren't calling any fouls, like nobody wanted to call a timeout to do subs. So you could see across the court, like, I don't know if it was 5 players from each team, but it was, 3 or 4 players waiting to sub in. And it took so long to get a stoppage of play that Rebecca and Ryan Russo, the play-by-play guy, were like, "Okay, we got them stacked up at the scorers table, just waiting to come, like waiting for a chance to come in." So I think they almost did like a whole squad sub out because it took so long. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep up that pace. But there were a lot of players that got their first baskets in the WNBA, first minute, so that was kind of cool to watch.
Did AZ Fudd end up playing?
She did. Yeah, she came in off the bench and she scored, and Raven Johnson came in off the bench and she scored as well. So,
Okay.
yeah. I
Did
was
either
bummed
of
because I don't know
them
if you
guard
remember.
Caitlin? Who
d-
did Paige guard Caitlin,
Um,
or were none of them kind of playing her?
Caitlin definitely did not guard Paige. I think often they don't put Caitlin on the best defender or on the best offensive player from the other team. So I forget who she was guarding. I can't. I do think Paige was guarding Caitlin though, because I think Paige is a little bit better of a defender than Caitlin is. Taller too, so I'm sure that helps.
Okay.
So yeah. But I remember when we did the WNBA episode, Grace Berger, who went to IU, was on the wings last year and actually was starting. She got waived last week. So I'm super bummed. I hope she finds a spot, even though the rosters are set. When there's injuries. Now, this year they have some developmental players and they have a bigger roster. So this might not happen as much, but sometimes players get picked up, along the way. So we'll see. Kate Martin got cut from the Valkyries, which was sad.
Oh,
Yeah, she was pretty big fan favorite. So I think that was not sure the fan base was particularly happy about that decision.
why do I think she's the Indiana player, or sorry, Iowa player, right?
Yeah,
With
she
Kate.
played with Caitlin.
So why did I think was she at the Aces when she was drafted?
Yes. Yeah, that was her
Okay.
rookie year. And then when they add a new team, which the Valkyries was a new team last year, they're basically allowed to poach from other teams. The teams
Okay.
can protect a certain number of players. So she was available and the Valkyries poached her from there. So she played there last year. And then this would be her third year, her and Caitlin. And so she got waived. So again, she might still find a spot somewhere. But Mackenzie Holmes made the Storm, so that was good. And then the IU player that just graduated, who was on I think the Mercury, she is their developmental player, which is a new roster spot that they added this year with the new CBA. So they wanted to have the opportunity because their rosters were so small in the past. It just didn't give you any chance it was hard to have a player who maybe had potential but wasn't there yet. I mean, you could maybe have one of those if you were lucky. And then if you had injuries, you were immediately in trouble. So there's 12 roster spots and two developmental player spots. And so Shea got one of the developmental spots for the Mercury. So we got two players from IU still in the WNBA. And fingers crossed Grace might find a spot. So that'd be nice.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, their season runs until September
So
or October. Does it go October?
I think
Okay.
it's September. Yeah, I think right around Labor Day maybe is the end of the regular season, somewhere in that time frame. And
Okay.
then they obviously have
I know it has
playoffs.
to end by October for sure because that's when the NBA starts back up with all their stuff, and I know it probably doesn't go past that.
I think the playoffs, there might be a tiny bit of overlap because I do think,
Okay.
if I remember, there was a little bit of like, maybe the Pacers were playing and the Fever, right? And they were having to like manage the schedule a little bit. I don't think the regular season overlaps, but the playoffs might just a little bit.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I feel like we'll have to like figure out an Atlanta game since that's
Yeah.
probably the closest to us. That is the closest, right? DC doesn't have a
Th-
team.
They do.
Oh,
The
they do?
Mystics. Yeah.
Although, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's still probably a little bit further than Atlanta, but
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be great to see Atlanta and Fever only because Angel Reese is now down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just to see all them again play each other would be, I think, a fun time.
Yeah, I think I looked and they play in Atlanta in August, so we can
All
talk
right.
about that. I
There we
actually
go.
was gonna try and catch a Fever game. I'm going up to Indiana for a wedding, and it would have actually been Atlanta in Indiana just by coincidence. But I think the way my schedule worked out, I just can't make it. It was like trying to do too many things in a short period of time, and I just had to bail on the idea. So yeah, but we can go
Now,
catch them in Atlanta.
are they still playing at Gamebridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I don't know about selling it out, but certainly doing very well. They have the most televised games this year. The TV contracts have definitely got upped quite a bit, so there's a lot more games that are televised across the board, but certainly they are one of I think they have the most televised games. Um, yeah.
Okay. Well, we look forward to seeing that season where it goes, just the beginning, and hopefully good things to come. But definitely a great high energy, fast paced, high scoring game coming out of today for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk a little NHL at all? Are we paying any attention to the playoffs?
Okay, so
No.
let's set the stage for not this episode, but we do have a special guest coming on for the next episode that we will be filming later on next week. And it will be all about hockey. And this is going to be very interesting because Beth and I know zero about hockey. Well, I mean, I guess you've been paying attention. I
But
know about as far as Carolina has a team, they're in
yes.
Raleigh, and they're about to possibly sweep
Yes.
the team that they are playing, which I believe is the Flyers. So I at least
Yes.
know that
That's
much.
good. See, we're starting off great. I feel like this is gonna be like the soccer episode where, yeah, don't know a lot about soccer, do not know a lot about hockey. So, yeah.
So, but yes, we have a special guest. He will be on with us, and we're very excited to have him. I'm sure it'll be entertaining knowing his personality. He's going to bring lots of good things to the podcast. But as far as what we do know, why don't we see where this goes and we can rewind next week and see if we got anything right.
Yeah, so I think it is funny since we started doing this podcast, right? I was mostly a football and a basketball fan and just would occasionally watch a handful of, more playoff championship kind of stuff. But I have been paying attention to more sports than I would certainly normally watch. So you made me watch golf, right? I would not say I'm watching any more golf, but I am paying a tiny bit more attention to when golf is happening and when, like the Truist Championship is here in Charlotte this week. I made some generic effort to see who was playing. It was pretty minimal, not gonna lie. So same thing with hockey. I have not actually watched hockey, although I do actually have the Hurricanes game on right now in the background. Since they were going to sweep, I thought maybe I'd watch a little bit of that game. And then the Buffalo Sabres, I'm all about a good underdog story. So they haven't been in the play. I haven't won a playoff series, I think in like 17 years. And I think your friend that's coming on, I'm assuming is a Buffalo Sabres fan since he's from Buffalo. So it'll be interesting to get his
We'll
take on
see.
that.
I think he's big into Carolina.
Oh, because he's been down
So
here for so long. Okay.
yeah, so we'll see. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah. But I think Buffalo, I was thinking the other day, like Buffalo's not a big town. So, I love the Bills Mafia during football season. I bet there's a massive overlap in fan bases of Buffalo hockey and Buffalo football. So I bet it's the Bills Mafia just in hockey like jerseys now. So I have been paying a little. I have not watched the game, not gonna lie, but I have been paying a little bit more attention. They're not doing so well. So they did win the first series. So at least they've like checked the box of won a playoff series. I'm not sure they're gonna make it out the next round. We'll see. They're
The only
playing. I forget who they're playing.
the only thing I know about them this year is that Josh Allen visited a game and pounded some drum and shotgun a beer. That's all I got.
Yeah, and then they lost that game, so people were like, "Do not invite him back." They're playing Montreal. So they are 1-1. So I guess maybe they're doing better than I thought they were. But it's been 19 years since they won a playoff series. So that's
To be
pretty
honest, I
impressive.
didn't even realize they were around that long. I would have maybe guessed 12.
Yeah, I think all those northern teams have been like,
Yeah.
I mean, Buffalo's practically Canada. So I think they've been like, Philly. I'm actually surprised Cleveland doesn't have a hockey team. That's a little, have they
So
ever?
they had a minor league team. I don't know if they still do.
Okay.
And it's not I'm getting the Checkers mixed up. The
Yeah,
Checkers
that's
is the
here.
minor league team here in Charlotte, which they are actually a really good team. I know a little
Mm-hmm.
bit about them, and I've probably been to a couple more games on that side because Doug used to have season tickets, and he's like a huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
But they make it to the playoffs quite often in that league. But I think it was the Cleveland or the Lake Erie Monsters, maybe.
Oh, yeah. If
Does
that's
that ring a
who
bell?
it's
Is
hockey,
that
they're still
hockey?
around then. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that was officially their name back when I was very
Okay.
young and we would kind of follow that. But I will say, funny story. I was going to hold this till next week, but funny enough, we went to one hockey game. We were always an NBA family. We would go to all the Cavs games and whatnot growing up. So that was kind of our thing as a family. But my parents took us girls when we were probably in elementary school still to one of the minor league hockey games. Parents knew nothing about hockey. We were just not a hockey family. And they happened to get tickets like down by the glass, which to every hockey fan, that's probably like where you want to be because that is where the action is. So we were there maybe 5-10 minutes into the first period. I don't know how long the periods are, but somewhere around that. And of course, like, these people are beating each other up, like coming down the glass. You got fans all around just cursing up a storm. And here we are, two little girls in this family. And my dad's like, nope, we are not doing this. We are leaving. So we left. That was my first introduction into hockey.
So that's why you're not a hockey fan, at least, is you were never given the opportunity to be a hockey fan. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I didn't go to a hockey game probably for another like 30 years, maybe 35 years. And the next game I went to was probably like 2 years ago. And it was my first major league hockey game out in Anaheim. The Anaheim Ducks. And they were playing, I think, is it Oilers? Maybe
Yeah,
Edmonton
there's an
Oilers?
Oilers,
Is
yeah.
that a team? So they were playing that team. I think that McGregor guy is on that team. So I think he's pretty hot stuff in the hockey world. And the people I was with were super excited to see him. We're sitting there. It's about to end. It was getting kind of heated between some fans back and forth. And I got stuck in the middle and got beer dumped on my head. So, not great hockey stories.
Yeah, you're not meant to be a hockey fan, it would seem.
Yes, yeah. So those are my hockey memories. Maybe I'll have a good memory moving forward if I ever go to a game again, but I'm not racing out to go to a game again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess if we wanted to do that, Raleigh, it would be quicker and easier than to go to WNBA games. So maybe next year, I don't think we're getting playoff tickets at this point if they're this good, but maybe next year we can sort out how to get ourselves back because we did the soccer game and after we learned a lot, and so maybe we can find our way up to Raleigh and see
So I gotta ask our guests next week. Like, see, I'm getting ideas. I'm getting ideas again, Beth. This is
Oh
never
my
good.
God, are you gonna get on the ice and play hockey? Jeez. Yeah, I will, just to be clear, I will again be the videographer and sarcastic commenter. I can barely ice skate around without hanging on to the edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can ice skate. I'll be the first one to
Yeah.
tell you. But if you give me enough pads, maybe I won't be so apprehensive and I'll just go and do it. So, you know, maybe that's in my future. We'll see. We'll see what I got up my sleeve.
The last time I ice skated, it was like a holiday thing. They look like shopping carts, like little wheel
Like walkers.
walkers. Yeah, I use that. Yeah, I'm not holding on to a stick. Well, maybe the stick it could help you balance. I don't think that's what the stick is for, though. I think you're supposed to be using the stick to hit the puck. So, yeah, I'd be happy to film you falling on your butt. And
Well, maybe I
again,
wouldn't do it in
fingers
ice
crossed,
skates.
not actually breaking anything.
Maybe I could just do it in shoes and try to shoot a puck.
Oh, street hockey. Kids used to play street hockey a lot. Like you just set up two goals and you weren't on ice skates. I don't even know. I wonder if they were on regular skates. I can't remember anymore.
Rollerblades?
Yeah.
That might be.
Or
I
even
can't
just like
rollerblade either.
roller skates, right? From like maybe you're too young to remember when people just roller skated. Like I
No, it
remember
was
pre-rollerblading, there was just roller skates, right?
my 7th no, what year are you in 7th grade? Like maybe 13, 12,
Yeah,
13?
somewhere around there. Yeah.
My mom decided to have this bright idea to have my birthday party at a roller rink.
Of
Why, I
course.
don't know, because
Oh,
I can't
everyone had
roller
birthday.
skate.
Yeah, everybody had birthday parties at roller rinks. That was a thing.
Well, it would have been my first choice. Let me just make that clear. And so anyway, we have this birthday party and we're going around or whatnot, and they play one of those like slow songs where you get out there and glide and whatnot. And I hit a pole. There was barely anyone on the rink, and my friend and I are kind of skating around, and they kind of have those four poles, kind of
Yeah.
in the middle. I hit one and fell. So
Okay.
that was my birthday party.
Yeah, maybe don't get on ice skates, like, because I could at least roller skate. I mean, back in the day, I don't know if I could now, which I feel like is a different set of skills than getting on ice on a bladed knife. But Yeah, so just to be super clear again, I will not be joining you, but I'd be happy to be your videographer if we're gonna do some sort of, I don't know if they have a combine. I don't know what theirs is called, like when they're getting drafted.
I
We
feel
could
like
find
that's a
out
good
what
question. We'll have to
we could ask
remember
him
that
and
one.
find out, yeah, like what are the skills you have to demonstrate? Oh my
Do
gosh.
you think I'm qualified?
Too funny.
Anyway,
All
that'll be a
right.
great time. We're looking forward to having him and learning more. And I'm sure he'll have some crazy quiz for us that we will massively fail,
Yes.
but it will be a good time for sure.
I think that's been the fun part is we have been learning about new sports that, we weren't huge fans of. I mean, in my mind, this time right now is like the in between basketball and football, because since I'm not an NBA fan, and before the WNBA was kind of bigger, this was just like the lull before football started again. And I've discovered all these new sports that I'm learning about. So that's kind of fun.
So it was funny because this week I was on a call with someone that we both know, have worked with, and I didn't necessarily peg her for someone that would watch our podcast or follow along. And the first thing she said to me was, "Oh, like, I watched your podcast and I had some chuckles and it was very entertaining. And I never knew that Beth loved Indiana so much, but I learned that. And you're a fan of, that team. It's not the Caitlin Clark team, is it?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Iowa State." And I was like, "Look at you. Like, that's awesome."
I think the idea that there's anyone who I've ever come into more than 5 seconds of contact with that doesn't know I'm an IU fan feels like I failed because clearly I don't know if I've gone through my whole wardrobe of IU gear yet. I'm getting close if I haven't worn all of my IU stuff. I mean, I'm definitely determined to only wear IU gear when we record, so people think I don't have any other clothes. And I wear them out and about in public a lot too, and talk about IU on places other than this podcast. So I am absolutely floored that there is anybody who I've ever met who's not aware of my ridiculous fandom.
Yeah. People at home, just so you know, this woman has 2 garden flags of
Yes.
Iowa State. Or not
Yes.
Iowa State, sorry,
Yeah.
Indiana. 2 garden
Not
flags.
just Indiana, but the national championship football flags. So just be very specific. I used to have a generic IU flag because we hadn't won anything in a damn long time. But after we won the championship, I bought a flag and then Jenny was nice and gave me a second flag. So, and because I'm such a fan, so we were in Belgium last week and we're doing a tour and we're just sort of chit-chatting with the people before we started. And it turned out in a very bizarre world in this very small tour that we did that was like 8
In
people,
a
I think.
town of what, like, 20,000
20,
residents, maybe like 40,000 if you add tourists.
yeah. They were from Indianapolis. And I said, "Oh, I went to IU." And we immediately talked about Indiana football because that's what you do. They weren't even IU fans. They
I was
didn't
gonna
go
say, their
there.
kids went to Purdue, right?
Yes. So, but they still said they were rooting. I think they went to Miami of Ohio, or at least one of them
Yes.
did. But they were still rooting for IU because, again, that's what you do when something like this happens. So,
You're everywhere. You guys are.
yeah, to be fair, I mean, we have the largest living alumni base, although they actually weren't even alumni. They were just from there. And the guy that was conducting the tour, who is he was Belgian, he even knew about IU football because we were good this year, which I thought was very funny.
Yes, but he also knew about the Ohio State Buckeyes, just to
Well,
be clear.
everybody knows about them. So that is not exactly shocking news. It is way weirder when people have heard about Indiana football, trust me.
Yeah, so we were over there, so let's just chat about that really quick. We were trying to find a sport to go to while we
Yeah.
were in took a girls trip to Amsterdam and Bruges, Belgium, or as the locals refer to it, bruh,
Yeah.
bruh.
Because I think we were
Um,
saying it's like kids now are like, bruh, what's up?
we were trying to find a sport. Obviously, soccer or football.
Football.
Soccer is the big sport over there, but we couldn't time it right. I think there was maybe a women's soccer game like that day we were coming in. Was that right?
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been really hard to get there with the luggage. And yeah, it was just a little too much.
Yeah. So it didn't quite work out. But another sport we found out was like huge over there is cycling.
Hmm.
and wasn't even thinking about that, but apparently it's like a huge thing over there, and they definitely have some tours that kind of um, run in the circuit over there, I guess you would call it. They call it a circuit, right?
Yeah, I like if we think that we know nothing about soccer and hockey, man, you move to cycling, we go off a cliff.
Hey, I actually know someone who does these cycling events in Europe,
Really?
so maybe we can get him on. I went to high school with both of them, so I'll see what I could do. He was in Napa area, I think,
Okay.
running one of the circuits or tours or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, something.
We'll
Yeah,
have
and
to
we
check it
lived,
out.
we actually lived overseas when I was a kid for a couple of years, and apparently the Tour de France came through the town that we lived in. Don't have any memories. I was too young, but I remember my parents saying it was a big deal if the Tour de France went through your town because I think they changed the route every year. It's my understanding, and so like the whole city came out to watch, these bikers come through. It feels like cross country running as a spectator.
We're about to have a cross country runner on the podcast too, so
Yeah,
I
I hope.
definitely want to get her take because I feel like that's definitely an individual sport compared to some of the sports we talked about, prior to that.
Yeah, and as a spectator, I mean, it's one thing if you don't really, if the sport's not your thing, but to go watch, because one of my brothers ran cross country, but at least in the high school version, you watch them like leave and then you just wait for them to come back. Whereas like what my other brother did track, but he did high jump, so at least you can watch it, right? It's right there. And but I think too, because my brother did some marathons then a little bit, and one of the times it was somewhere where the whole family was, and so then we were like moving, right? We had like his wife had picked places that we could go to see him. I was like, man,
Okay.
this is not the sporting event for me to be a spectator for. I mean, not sure I understand why we're running to start with, but then watching other people run, that was, yeah, not my thing. So, yeah. I'm
Um,
definitely more of a team sports fan, to be fair, than an
yeah.
individual sports fan.
So yeah, the cycling I guess is a big sport with the football. But Beth and I did get on bikes. We
Yep.
did some cycling of our own.
We were not winning anything other than, again, theme of this. I believe when we got on there, I was like, no going to the hospital. That is definitely a theme. I was like, please, please do not let one of us fall or break anything because we're in a foreign country and this is going to be a pain if we get hurt. So nobody did.
Yes, yes, we cycled on the cobblestone streets, which I will say is not easy.
Yes.
I would not want to do that every day, but that is the primary mode of transportation over there. So everyone is on a bike, and yeah, we got to kind of cycle around. So that was a cool experience for sure.
And then I don't think we actually talked about this much because I couldn't figure out how for us to go. But when we originally said, why don't we see if we can find a sporting event since we're going to be there, I actually Googled like unique or weird sports in Amsterdam just to see if I could find something. And there's something called canal jumping. So, but it was not in the area we were. I think Amsterdam's too crowded for it. But I got the impression that it's almost like a pole vault, but you're using the pole to jump over like, the canal, like from one side to the other. But they do it
Okay.
in some region of the Netherlands, but we were far enough away that, like, again, much like the soccer thing, making that work when that was not the purpose of the trip would have been a little bit too much. But I had texted a friend that I was looking for that, and he was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna get hurt." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we're not doing this. We were gonna spectate."
Oh wait, was that before or after my pretend
It was
combine where I
before, but
actually
yeah, so he was not aware that you're already crazy and want to sign up for stuff. I must have been the way I texted it. He misunderstood. He was like, "I don't know if that's a good idea in a foreign country." And I was like, "We're not jumping the canals. We would spectate if we did that." Please tell me that if we had found that, you would not have wanted to
hell
somehow
no.
figure.
I don't even know if I would be able to do it like just on a basic track and field
Right.
level. I don't know if you ever had to do this in gym class. Did you have to do the high jump?
Yeah,
Oh my
probably. Yeah.
gosh. That was the
Yeah.
worst. I'm short. I have no vertical. What are we doing, people?
Yeah.
Not for me.
My brother was, like I said, was a high jumper. He actually went to state a couple times and got a scholarship to Cincinnati as a high jumper. He still holds the record at our high school. He was there recently, just driving through town and stopped. at the high school, and it's still up on the board. And my brother is going to be 50 this year, so it was a little while ago. So I
Okay.
think it was, I can't remember what year he would have graduated his senior year, but he went, and he only did high jump because the basketball coach was the track and field coach and wanted the basketball players to do that. I think to stay in condition. So I think the intent was for him to run, but my brother had wanted no part of running. And so because he was so tall, he signed up to do the high jump and then was, because he's so athletic, was good at it even though he had just picked it up. And he is now my niece's, one of my nieces in high school, the other one's in middle school. He's their high jump coach, which is kind of cute. So like just,
Okay.
part time after work. And so my nieces are actually, they're also tall. We have a tall family. And so they got
Yeah.
my brother's genes, not my sister-in-law's genes for sure. But yeah, they're both really good high jumpers. So it's kind of cute.
Okay. Well, shout out to, is that Brian?
Yeah, Brian. Yep.
Shout out to Brian and
High
your
jump
nieces.
extraordinaire. Yeah. He was definitely a
Okay.
better basketball player, but I don't know what records you would have to get in basketball. So he has a record for the high jump instead.
Was gonna say my sister did the track and field thing. I was not fast. I am a distance runner. I will run distance, not so much anymore, but I didn't mind the distance thing, but I was definitely not quick. Um, as you saw in my 40-yard dash. But yeah, that was definitely my sister's gene for sure. But she did hurdles, um, maybe some relay type events, 100-meter relay or something like that. I was always fascinated at watching the hurdles, but I was too scared. I never even attempted
Yeah.
trying to jump it because I was afraid like I couldn't get my knee over, and you kind of got to position it like a weird way when you're jumping over it. So I
It looks
never
like
did
a
attempt
really good
that.
way to spend a lot of time on the ground on a
Yeah, and I
track where you're
and
going to
I
get
think if
hurt.
you challenged me to that today, that is one thing I'd say, "No," unless the high jump was, like, 2 feet off the ground, which I
Okay.
don't think qualifies as a high jump, but, I don't think I'd be adventurous enough to try that one, because I'm afraid I'd bite it and then have asphalt in my kneecaps.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we have found that there is actually a limit.
That's my limit.
All right. Good to know. Yeah, good to know. So running the 40 and maybe putting on ice skates with a hockey stick on one side, the hurdles on the other side. Good to
Another
know.
thing I wanna learn is curling. So I feel like
Yes.
I want to go and attempt that, so I'm hoping our guest maybe has some hookups and can, help me get on the ice and attempt curling.
Yeah, there's a curling place here on the south side of Charlotte somewhere, like Pineville, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, I think it's down at the rink maybe he, plays at. There's a rink
Okay.
in, like, Matthews, maybe Monroe area.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that, I mean, I don't know if I want to do that, but I would definitely go
Alright. Did I
watch.
find something that you do?
No, but I'll go watch. Again, because they're on skates. I feel like if I
They're
don't even
not
want
on
to,
skates, are they, for curling? I thought they're just wearing, like, some type of
yeah,
shoe.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. They're on ice. So that still feels like a good way to fall and land on your rear end. I am much taller than you. It's a lot further to hit the ground for me than it is for you. You get hurt more when you're this tall.
Alright.
Alrighty.
Well, I think we've covered it all.
That concludes our very random hodgepodge episode.
We talked everything about, my from my dog farting to the NBA to the WNBA to hockey. Man,
And my
we
brother
got it
having
all. So,
a 30-year-old high
take your
school
pick.
record. Yeah, this was a good episode. We'll get back to having a topic at some point, but this one was fun. This actually is probably the most like what you and I sitting having a drink talking about sports looks like out of all of the episodes we've done. So it's probably the most authentic.
Authentic.
Yeah.
Mhm. Alright. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode. And if you've liked what you've heard and you've stuck with us this far, we would love for you to subscribe. We are on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We hope to see you next week.